Hey golfers, I'm Drew Mahowald, the Second Swing Golf, out here at Titleist Performance Institute here in sunny California, very different from our normal climate up in Minnesota right now. But I'm joined by Stephanie Luttrell, Director of Development of Metalwoods here with Titleist. And today we have a fun video because we're gonna kind of go, maybe take a trip down memory lane a little bit. We've got in front of us here a bunch of older Titleist drivers, and then we've kind of got a couple of the newer ones, especially the GT2 in your hand. But Stephanie, first of all, thank you for joining today, and we're going to kind of go through a little bit of the history of Titleist drivers from the past, maybe decade or two. So I guess I just want to first give you the softball here, right? In that, what are you guys excited about with GT? Because GT is really a culmination of a lot of these things that we're looking at, and how far you guys have advanced.
Well, thanks, Drew, for having us here, and just to get to talk about GT and also our history with Titleist Metalwoods. With GT in particular, we're super excited about just the complete performance that we've designed into it. So it started with aerodynamic head shaping to deliver more speed for all players. It then necessitated a new construction that's unique, that's never been done in golf before, with our PMP crown. So that proprietary matrix polymer is allowing us to execute a composite multi-material construction in a way that really satisfies the sound and the feel characteristics that we know players have come to love out of Titleist products. And we've been able to utilize that construction to also reposition our center of gravity, keeping inertia really high. So ultimately what it leads to is great inertial consistency. We've got a new face insert design with it too that's allowing us to deliver maximum ball speed on center and off center. So when I say it's the complete package, it really does check all the boxes for players.
Yeah, that's exactly what we've seen already in fittings. I mean, our fitting team's out here this week too, and they're saying the same thing about the driver fittings in the Bay. GT is miles, blowing the competition out, if you will, in terms of what players are playing, entering the fitting, and then what they come out with.
That's certainly what we love to hear, because it's what we experienced in our prototype development and our testing as well, and you just hope that that comes and shines through in the field as well.
Yeah, I mean, and it's cool because I think Titleist especially has taken a huge leap in drivers in terms of the, I guess, space in the market, right? And I think going back to the 900 series right here, we've got 905s, we've got 907s, we've got 910, 913, and then even here now, this is the TS2 in my hand. So can you kind of take me back into, I'm specifically the Titleist Speed Project. So you guys kind of had this 900 series for several years, and then into TS, the Titleist Speed Project it was called. What was the goal of that? And then kind of how did that develop through TSI, TSR, and so forth? Well,
the impetus for the Titleist Speed Project really centered around the fact that we saw that the way that golfers were experiencing and looking at how they were going to make their selection for drivers had really evolved and changed with the advent of launch monitors being readily available. And obviously we've been leaders in fitting for many, many years, but really making fitting accessible to the broader golfing public. And so we took a real deep dive and focus, starting with TS series, as to, well, how does that impact the way that people will experience a golf club when they come into a fitting? So in the Titleist Speed Project with TS, it started with, okay, how do we look at aerodynamics and club speed, knowing that TrackMan can monitor that, and that'll be something that gets reported. How do we leverage the overall build configuration to make it a little lighter, to really maximize the ability of that player to swing it through? And then optimizing center of gravity positions and leveraging that for a low and deep CG at that time. That's what our research was telling us would really allow us to maximize stability as well as downrange distance consistency. So ultimately we kind of have that always in our mind of how do we check all of those boxes. But this was really kind of that experience of, let's focus in on what golfers are doing, how they're making their choice of what driver should make the bag. And it started with TS, then went to TSI and TSR as well.
Yeah, and the coolest part, I think, in terms of the fitting side, right? Obviously there's all the technology, now there's multiple different heads, and there's maybe weights you can shift around, especially with, like, for example, GT3. But the SureFit hosel that has stayed true to kind of what it is for the last 10 years, even maybe longer than that. Can you maybe speak on just how effective that is? And I know our fitters absolutely love having 16 unique settings to work with in the fitting bay. So can you kind of speak to really the development of this and how it stayed so true, because it's among the best hosels really out there.
It actually started back here with 910. 910 was our first, what we called SureFit Tour hosel system. And the reason why it came to be was really trying to drive towards how do we replicate that tour van experience? And on our tour van in the past with heads, when you were back in the 905 days,
Right.
you know, we had long aluminum hosels and titanium hosels that we could actually physically bend, and we could independently adjust loft and lie. And so the challenge we had with our engineering group was, well, how do we do that? How do we decouple that within an adjustable hosel system? You had seen, you know, Callaway had come forth with an OptiFit system, TaylorMade had come forth with their system, but they were all single axis systems. So none of them could independently make those adjustments. And we think that's a real key and a real advantage to our hosel system. And part of the reason why it's maintained all of these years is because we consider it to be the best. It gives you 4 unique loft and face angle combinations at 4 unique lie angle combinations. So 16 total settings that you can use to dial in launch, spin, as well as directional off the face.
Yeah, that's again been awesome for our fitters. I mean, when it comes to making adjustments with the driver, this is the best system that they continually just talk about year in and year out. So, so today, after our kind of earlier discussion here, we're going to do a little bit of a test, a fun test. We've got lined up a Titleist 913 D2, this TS2, and then the GT2, kind of going through, it's almost every 5 or 6 years. And I'm going to hit a few shots with each. It's going to be very interesting to see what these results are and kind of also how they look and feel differently. But if you were to guess as to what will happen, we have TrackMan set up here. We're going to get some data. If you were to guess what's going to happen here, what type of differences in the data will you see?
I think you'll see definitely launch and spin differences between them as we've manipulated head specifications, as we've manipulated center gravity positions. Moving, particularly in GT, our research has shown us being able to move a little bit low and forward, but couple that with great inertial stability helps us to drive more speed performance. So I expect that you're going to see lower spin as you move from 913 to GT. But I also expect that you're going to see pretty considerable speed gains because our technologies have advanced. When you look at what we were doing with 913, we had a variable thickness face insert design, but we really hadn't been able to push it to its limits. When we started the Titleist Speed project, we started to look at material advancements. In TSI, we moved to ATI 425, an aerospace grade titanium that allowed us to really epitomize kind of our engineering quality with that face insert and drive it to even more reduced thickness. And then you fast forward 5 years later into GT, and we've got speed ring and VFT technology, which is allowing us to deliver even more performance out of that aerospace grade titanium. So I'm excited to see what you experience. And you know, for the players out there that are playing old product, this should give them some insight into maybe the yards that they're leaving on the table.
Exactly. We get that question all the time is, well, I'm playing this driver, you know, Titleist 910 driver, you know, what am I missing? Is it worth going in and getting fit for something new? And I think today we're maybe going to see some of exactly why they should go get fit. So I'm ready to hit some shots here.
Let's have some fun with it.
All right, so Stephanie and now Lucas, fitter here, are also going to kind of help me dissect some numbers here, testing out. I've got the 913 here first, D2, and that's actually with the 1K Black 65X, which is what I play in my driver. I guess, what could you guys tell me about the 913 D2? We're going back 10, 11 years here.
I know we're going back a ways, but key technologies for 913, it was an all titanium construction, had an organic VFT face insert, and it was actually our first generation that we brought our SureFit flat weight, so allowing us to do, you know, plus or minus 6 grams in head weighting, which really allows us to dial in and make a really excellent kind of fitting tool for Lucas and the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, looking back even 10 years to have that on a driver was probably a little bit ahead of its time at that point. To have, you know, again, a somewhat center of gravity manipulation, but also just swing weighting, head weighting, things like that. Because custom fitting has really taken off really since about this time.
I mean, isn't it amazing too that you can put your current gamer shaft in a head that's that far back as well?
About the SureFit hosel too and everything, it's still, that's great. Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, let's give it a few hits and see how it goes.
Sweet. Awesome.
First impressions?
It's I don't know how to, it's like a higher pitched sound.
Good speed.
It's probably weird for you, Lucas, too, to even have this club head out here.
Why? Because it was the first driver launch I ever did with the company.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh. So maybe it's not weird. Maybe it's just like a
nostalgic.
nostalgic. Yeah.
It was a good year.
It was one of my children, so, you know.
I played some of my best golf with that driver.
That one actually turned
Yeah.
out pretty solid.
Yeah.
For the sake, it was a slight toe shot, but
Absolutely.
all right, let's get maybe one more with this one.
T
Here.
and
My T went flying.
yep.
How far on the toe do you feel like you caught that?
Not super far. I mean, that's another thing too that like I feel like I can't really feel too much of where the strike is with this one, at least compared to like today.
Sure.
Ooh, that one's leaking right.
A little more out of the heel, perhaps.
Yeah, for sure.
So we got a toe one and a heel one. That'll be interesting to compare
Yeah.
against as well.
Yeah, well, what do we got for numbers after? I think we got 4 there.
Yeah. So your fastest ball speed was 168. Not bad. And that's
Okay.
the only one that didn't catch our spin rate number.
Okay.
Your best shot was 163 ball speed, 162.8.
Really? Okay.
14 launch and 2,000 RPM to spin. So
Okay.
not bad.
Okay.
It's coming in a little bit steep in terms of landing angle. So
Is it?
It's,
So it's kind of climbing and
it's all just stopping in the fairway. It's not chasing out or anything.
Right.
But
okay.
not bad.
I think what I'll like to see and keep an eye on as we kind of move through the series is to look at the spin variation. So
Yeah.
on that toe strikey was 2,000. On that heel strikey was 3,650.
Really?
And
That
so
high, huh?
yeah, so just to keep an eye on, do we see any
Yeah.
of that change with the technology as well?
Interesting.
The other thing I'll be curious for me as a fitter is the difference between the ball speeds. So we're
Yeah.
always trying to flatline our ball speeds first, and so your variance goes from 163 all the way up to 168. That's a big distance
Sure,
gap in a driver.
Okay.
That'll be fun to
Interesting.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't hit 3,600. I haven't hit that in a while with
I
the
know.
driver.
So let's maybe snap on a new head
Yeah,
and
let's do
see
it.
how it goes.
So TS2,
Yep.
9.5,
Okay.
your shaft.
Yep. Okay. And then again, we're still in A1 setting
Yep.
with everything. But oddly enough, and this just could be club head shape difference, it looks closed to me versus the 913. And again, that just could be my brain being weird, but just thought that was, I don't know. That's the only piece of aesthetics feedback I have. That was hit really good.
Yeah.
169.5 ball speed.
So already higher.
Yep.
Got a
I
T.
think that goes higher than your first or your highest with the 913. We peaked at what, 168.5?
168.0.
Okay.
Yeah, that was hit. That had to be pretty darn dead center
Yep.
with that one.
A little high face there.
Yep.
That one will be a little lower spin, but
167.7.
so ball speed consistency still staying up there. Spin came down to 2360. So
Yeah.
That makes sense. Just again,
Yep.
that high face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. I remember that being the first really big jump from the 900, 917 to TS. There was a lot different with it, but it was obviously a good different for you guys.
yeah, we had the feedback from our tour. 917 was a great driver in the hands of great fitters like Lucas, but just off the rack, TS really kind of blew it out of the water.
Yeah, and actually for a while too, just for the sake of golfers coming in our stores for used drivers for years afterward, and even still today, TS is a great option.
I still play with some ladies that are playing it.
Yeah. Really.
Yeah.
There's the heel ball.
Okay. So that'll be interesting.
166 ball speed.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a little drop, but nothing too bad.
Kind of match that spin, the 3650.
Is that where it was here? Close?
Yep.
Okay. But the ball speed was a little higher from
Yep.
the last heel ball.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
Your last heel one was at 163, I think.
yeah. Interesting. Okay.
So definitely seeing the face technology kind of shine through in the forgiveness of this
Yeah.
model as well.
Yeah, definitely. That's a clear step up in the ball speed retention, and then it even felt like I got more feedback too.
Okay.
Off of that one.
Yeah. There you go.
169.5 ball.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that was 4 with this one, which
Yep.
we're kind of getting the right sample, right? Because I think hitting a couple good ones, getting the heel shot in there to kind of get the data set good anyway. But it feels like the ball speed went up a little bit there, and it was also, to your point, you talked about the kind of gap of the speed, going from maybe 5 or 6 miles an hour down to 3 or 4 with this one.
We want your ball to have a consistent carry distance.
Yeah.
If you have a consistent carry distance, yes, you're going to miss,
Right.
but you're not going to miss in the bunker. Or
Right.
if you try to turn the ball over right to left or left to right, you're still hitting that target carry distance.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Well, now with GT, what are we thinking we're going to see here?
Well, let's take a look at like just even on the averages. So you were about 150 RPMs lower spin there with TS2 versus what we were with the 913 D2. My expectation is that you're going to see lower spin out of this head. You should see the aerodynamic speed come through as well as the speed through the face insert design and technology too. So, and then just the repositioning that we did with the CG on this, my hope is that we'll also see some of that spin consistency shine through that we've seen. Really, that's been one of the predominant points of feedback out on tour is that, you know, when guys miss hit at either toe or heel, they see the spin be very comparable to center. And to Lucas's point about, you know, speed consistency, spin consistency also has a huge impact on your downrange distance. So
yeah, sweet. All right, perfect.
So
Got
again,
it
GT2, 9 degrees,
Nice.
same shaft.
A lot more compact shape to this one too than previous in the TS2.
yeah, not quite as drawn back in the aft portion of the head.
Yep. Oh wow.
170.3.
Really?
Yeah.
That was in a different window too, right?
Yeah. It was like a
little
It
flatter.
was a piercing ball flight for sure.
Those were great launch conditions. 10.5 degrees of launch, 2,400 RPMs of spin, and 170.5 ball speed.
Wow.
So
Yeah, I like that.
that's best one so far.
I like that a lot.
Oh, nice.
It's another good one.
Yeah.
172.4.
Jeez, really?
Yes.
You know she engineered them, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We have an amazing team of engineers. That was, look at that spin consistency. So you were 12.0 launch there, 23.78. Last one we were 2,400.
Yeah.
But you gained 2.5 miles an hour there.
That's funny. I'm like surprised by this instead. He's like, yeah, this is just what happens in this club, you know.
A lot of people too will
love
get
it.
really romantic about that one really good one you hit with TS.
Yeah.
And they'll forget that, you know, there's 14 times potentially you have to hit this club on a golf course.
Yeah.
And so you don't want your best one to be the only time it happens. You need the bad ones to be closer to the best one.
Right.
So like that first one to me was really good, but then you hit the second one, meaning the first one was kind of a miss.
Yeah.
Even though it was really good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Need a tee?
I do need a tee. I think that
Is it broke?
the one that fell back there.
That one is a little out of the heel,
Yes,
right?
it was.
Yep, could hear
There's-
that.
Would you say that was about the same place in the heels, the other ones?
I think so. Yeah.
170.1.
And the spin was only 29.70.
So yeah, I mean,
So 3,600 to 29.70, that's huge.
that's actually really impressive. Because that was totally, I hit that and I'm like, oh no, you know, one of those where you feel it.
And because of that spin as well, you don't see it moving as much in the air. So that leads to more fairways hit as well.
Yeah, that's really good.
Oh, nice.
173.1.
Yep.
Best one.
Yeah, that was hit good. That felt fast. This felt fast.
Yeah. Awesome there. 11.6, 25.60. So your 3 good solid shots there were all within 200 RPMs of each other. So
Yeah, and then the one heel ball, which I have, I guess, unintentionally, but it happened with all 3 drivers. You know, I ended up getting still under 3,000 on the spin.
what did that equate to, Lucas, in terms of just his downrange distance? Like, do you have a good metric on the range that he saw between them?
Yeah, so I like to talk in carry because
Sure.
that travels with you to different places and different course conditions. So the plus or minus on the GT was 5.3 yards. And then the plus or minus on the TS and the 913 were between 7.5 and 9.5.
Okay.
So
So
pretty big difference.
So so the GT2 is more consistent. The ball speed's better both on the center shots and on the heel shot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of the ball flight,
Yeah.
do you have like height numbers or maybe anything like that on there? Because I felt like the ball flight was also lower, which for me, I hit the ball plenty high as it is.
Yeah.
I don't need it to go any higher. If anything, maybe a little lower would benefit me.
Yeah.
It felt like the GT was maybe a little bit lower, at least on a couple of those for sure.
There's a couple things to unpack. The first thing I'd say is with the other clubs and how much they wanted to have a variance in spin, it was clear that when you spun one too low, you would then try to hit one the other way and it would spin too high.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the point. And so you see that window climb, and so you try to control it. With GT though, the window came down from 120 feet basically to 109. Nothing substantial, but your landing angle was in a better place around 39 instead of 43. So you'll say, well, if I took out the big right misses, my averages will get better. I'll say, well, of course, but that's the point.
Right.
Is I want all the shots to be good.
Yeah, because I'm going to hit that. I'm going to have that swing on the golf course.
Right.
And I think you're focused too there, Lucas, on the fact that this trajectory, yeah, it's 10 yards lower in peak, but part of that is because it's generally lower spin on average, right? So it's going to peak lower, and that's contributing to that landing angle being flatter. So we love to talk carry because that's what travels, but also just the fact that you're coming in flatter with that optimal trajectory, you're going to see more rollout through it.
Yeah, and it just felt better too. I mean, it was that kind of just that solid thud on impact.
And what was your observation maybe on sound as you moved between the three different models?
It felt like it went from a kind of a high pitch to a lower pitch throughout, which it was again more of like a kind of soft thud with this one, which I like. You know, I don't need to have something super crazy, brash or anything like that, which I liked with this. So
awesome.
You know, to Stephanie's point about the total distance, there's some potential there. So if you are playing a golf course that it does chase more, you were 289 in total distance on the 913. You were 309 in total distance on the GT. So if you do play a course that you can take advantage of the roll, it's 20 yards closer.
Right. There you go. So we talked about the person that is maybe using an older driver, 913. This is what you can gain.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting to see kind of the technology shine through. We know with our engineering philosophy, every generation, we're always trying to push the limits and how can we take it further, and we're always learning new things, and that's the beauty of it, is we're never done.
Right.
And so to see it kind of progress in this way and to see you actually experience it, I think that's what we obviously plan for, and getting to see it come through in the results is an awesome testament to that too.
There's one more observation that I made on the numbers, talking about aerodynamics. So the team did a really, really good job of creating a club that was really aerodynamic. You were swinging the 913 at 111 miles an hour. You swung that almost 115.
Wow.
So without changing you could manifest some more club head spin.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Move it through the air.
So it's faster in multiple ways.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah. So
Win-win.
it's funny too, because even throughout this session, you know, as you guys have seen this happen hundreds of times probably with people, where they're trying something new, they get into GT and they see the distance gains or the performance gains. So you guys are just like not surprised by any of it, which is kind of funny. But yeah, this has been awesome. So I think clearly the message that we have today is that golfers can schedule fitting a second swing for new GT, Titleist GT drivers. And also the story is that Titleist has been making serious strides with drivers over the years, and we saw it numerically in the data today. So Stephanie and Lucas, thank you for your time. Thank you for hosting us out here at TPI. It's been awesome. A great evening for it as well. And we are, I know at Second Swing, we're very excited for what GT is going to do the rest here in 2024 and into 2025. It's going to be awesome.
Thanks, Drew. We really appreciate the support, and thanks for taking it for a test drive.
Oh, of course.
Thanks for coming out. Appreciate it.